realize that, those voices you hear aren't you. They're not coming from you. There's something different. You know, that split has to be made, you know, for the person to do anything. Now, the voices hate the 23rd Psalm. So a lot of these people have been hearing them for a long time. And I read something called, I think it was 30 Years Among the Dead it was written in the 20s by a dentist who would take these people who hear voices and give them a static electric shock. And the negative spirit would leave them. And then his wife, who was a medium, would pick up on them and talk them into the light. Once that was done, they were gone. They didn't come back. Yeah. So here I am. I was working with a clinical psychologist at the time, and we're kind of exploring, well, how can we give these people a shock, without me being fired. you know? And here he is. He's sending me all this information about these static electric shock machines, and I'm like, no, that's not going to work. I take that into prison, start shocking these guys. They're gonna fire me. That's
Yeah.
not. So it took me like 3 months before, it's racking my brain. How could I give them some kind of shock that would shut these things up temporarily, so I could get through to them with the information that they need to hear? And one day I was standing in one of the warden's offices. I saw a rubber band sitting on her desk, and I went, "Oh!" So I grabbed that rubber band, gave it to one of the guys, and said, "Here, next time you hear your voices, snap this, put it around your wrist, snap it, and see what happens." And they would shut up. He said that the shock of the rubber band snapping hurt the voices much more than they hurt him. They kind of shocked him and shut him up for a short period of time, long enough for them to repeat the 23rd Psalm, which is like punching the voices in the face. They can't stand it. I've had a number of patients tell me that the repetition of the 23rd Psalm in the face of the voices is like throwing them onto a hot frying pan. That's how they react to it. They don't like prayer. They don't like preachers. I think it's the 23rd Psalm and Psalm 91 they absolutely hate. And then there's some Muslim prayers. I mean, the Muslims have been at this longer than we have.
Yeah.
They have prayers that are specifically aimed at these things.
Is that what they call the jinn, right? Or the
The
idea
jinn.
of,
They call them the jinn.
yep.
Back then. So that was the first thing, is to get them to realize that these voices aren't who they are. They're not them.
Well, I think that's the biggest shift, is that's why I like the stories of the Cathars and the Gnostics, and was that the idea that disconnecting yourself from the voice and how empowering that is. That changes the shame, the guilt, because just having that voice, thinking it's a part of you, it puts guilt on you. You feel like,
Yeah.
how do I even have that voice saying those dark things to do? How
Right.
is that even part of me? There's something wrong with me. And then it brings it down even further down their line. So I think I see the power in that.
They have to work at it. I mean, it's not as easy as taking a pill. There's things that they have to do to challenge these things, like that's a lie program. Every time they hear those voices, they got to come back. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie, over and over again. They can't let them get away with it. There's a number of things they have to do, and they have to turn onto a positive spiritual path at some point to change their frequency. If they just stall out, these things are going to come back. Sherry says that the voices she heard half a century ago are still coming back every once in a while, just to test the waters, to see if she's open to them again. They'll come back. They're parasites. They need to understand that these things are energetic parasites. They are draining them. So if you had a leech on you, you wouldn't just sit there and look at the leech. Oh my God, I got a leech on me. You pull it off. You do something about it. It's the same thing with these things. They have to do something about them. They can't just sit there and take the battering and go, woe is me, there's nothing I can do. There's a lot of things they can do when they have to do it. Nobody can do it for them. They have to be able to do it.
I think you pretty much said it right there, with the idea that it's not something it's a quick fix. It's something that you have to adjust. You have to understand what's going on, and then apply methods continuously. And then they are going to get weaker and weaker in their progression of you. I mean, the idea that there's just a switch that you turn them off. I mean, it almost would implement that or imply that they're not what they are.
No, they're not physical, so you can't do that. Even a lot of exorcists, when they'll exorcise them, the things will leave for a while. But if they don't continue on a positive spiritual path and keep working to change their frequency in a more positive direction, these things will be back. They'll be back. It's just like the Bible says. You go ahead and sweep out the house, but if you leave it empty, these things are going to come back twice as bad. And that's exactly what I've seen happen. We've gotten rid of them. The guy doesn't do anything else once they're gone. He doesn't keep moving on a positive spiritual path. He doesn't keep trying to improve his mental health. He just goes, okay, they're gone. It's not like a biological disease. It's not like an infection where you take medicine and you kill it and it's gone. It doesn't work that way. They think it does. Well, you take these pills and they'll go away. No, it doesn't work. These are energetic entities. They have to be fought on an energetic level, on a mental level. You can't physically do anything to get rid of them. What Mace found was that the mind is not what you think the mind normally is. He found that the mind, all it does is it takes pictures of what the attention is focused on. So wherever you put your attention, the mind takes pictures of it, and it's constantly providing you those pictures. It doesn't analyze anything. It doesn't think about anything. All that is done by the spirit. And he found that if you can get an image and you can turn a feeling into an image, that the basics is that energy moves from negative to positive. Electricity moves from negative to positive, and it's the positive that absorbs the negative. So if they can get an image of feeling, turn it into an image and then concentrate on that image until it disappears, that feeling will disappear with it.
A lot of the fear base, it's kind of our fight or flight mode we stay in, and like the polyvagal theory of being the idea of Dr. Stephen Porges, he's either hated or liked. And mostly the psychologists and the science community kind of hate him because he's helping kids with ADHD just by listening to music, changing their frequencies. Those kind of we tried playing Johnny Mathis music, which sounds ridiculous. Chances are like those kind of songs, and the veterans seem to love it. Like there's
see these voices don't like calming, pleasant music. They want this acid rock stuff. Like this what
you've seen that too. Then so this
oh
is
yeah, very clearly. Yeah,
okay.
they will turn the person toward this friggin' acid rock rap crap where it's oh yeah, kill and maim and blah, 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 all that. They want that.
It was such a pronounced response, and it was across the board on how all of them were responding and felt themselves being elevated in their mental mood. I was blown away. And then I kind of started thinking about the physical side of things, where it's just you get stuck in fight or flight. Your body responds a certain way. You have to be able to switch and rest and digest. And if you're caught into these, like we do work on breathing patterns because people hyperventilate, they don't have enough oxygen in their body. It's a perpetual pattern. It's cyclical. It's just going to continue to get worse. And these the physical side of this is if you become healthier, you can implement all of these therapies like the mace therapy even better and faster.
So I just tell them, I say, hey, I've worked with hundreds of schizophrenics, and they're all saying that the voices hate the 23rd Psalm. Whether you're religious or not, you say that, it hits the voices back. It gives them some control over these things, because they don't feel like they have any control. These things are ravaging their mind. The drugs aren't working. Psychiatry is telling them lies about what they are. Nothing's helping, and they have no control. Psychiatry took whatever little control they had.
Right.
But you start telling them, hey, listen, take control. These thoughts are not yours. They don't belong to you. Break it off, separate it. And then you can say, now you can hit them. You hit them with the 23rd Psalm, you hit them with the lie. So now you can fight back because you have an enemy to fight back against. That enemy is not you. It's not your
Right.
mind. You're not insane. This is like a virus. It's a mind virus. You can fight back against it. It is possible. But from what psychiatry is telling them, they don't stand a chance. Your mind is broken. There's nothing you can do about it except take our toxic meds, and then you'll get worse, and then we'll give you different toxic meds, and give up all hope. This is the only treatment. It's diabolical. It's just diabolical what they're doing.